to the Awakened Radio Network. Visit our website at www.awakenedradio.net, where you can find out all about the Awakened Radio host, take part in our forum, and chat with us in our live mobile chat room. Want to listen on the go? Go to tunein.com, download their free app, and search for Awakened Radio. We are always here for you on the Awakened Radio Network. Have you experienced the power of one? A brand new challenge for all of our hosts and listeners at the Awakened Radio Network is the power of one. One person taking one action. And through the power of agreement, that action creating mightily. Find out all about the power of one at awakenedradio.net. Discover how you can help to create with other people, one person at a time. Awakened Radio is brought to you in part by the Awakened Store at awakenedradio.net. You'll find autographed copies of Donna Devaine's books, guided meditations by Rob Rakazine and Donna Devane, Native American style dream catchers, medicine gemstone jewelry, stones, crystals, and a whole lot more. Support the Awakened Radio Network by visiting the Awakened Store today. awakenedradio.net. We understand and activate the power of one.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lila Rose, where authentic and feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello everyone and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show. This is Pernilla Lila Rose, your host, and we're going to have another fun time here on our radio show. I just want to let you know that today is my second to last show in this playground here called Awakened Radio. I will certainly continue sharing my message. So I want to just encourage you to go to my website at lilarose.com, LILLAROSE.com. And if you want to stay connected with me and learn more about my offerings, all the new things that are happening, please put in your name and your email address. That's the only way we can stay connected after next week. And I would love to stay connected with you because I'm having so much fun here. I'll share a little more about what is moving here. And as you probably know, if you've been listening in here for a while, that all I know is to follow the inner movement. And many times I don't know why, what, where, how. And at a certain point, you just get to a place where you just trust this inner voice or this inner movement, inner prompting. And you don't need to question it anymore or argue with it or know that everything is going to be okay. There's just a natural falling into that flow. And that is really what I usually talk about here, how to get into that flow, that natural flow that's everywhere, all around us, all inside of us. It's just a matter of learning to tune into that flow instead of being stuck in the fear of the mind and the mind wanting safety, security, knowing that everything is going to be okay. And it will, and it is, but we don't know that as long as we keep holding on to this contracted feeling of fear and that we want to be in control and make sure everything is okay. And I can speak about that freely because I know a lot about this place of being contracted and wanting to know everything is going to be okay and not trusting. So a lot of what I talk about has been my own process of becoming free from that and then instead diving into that flow and just learning to trust it and learning what it is, learning to listen to that and understand that flow language, or that language that comes from inside. And we have moved so far away from that naturalness inside. We are so used to letting everything we do or say or think or feel go through our mind. And then the beauty of the flow, that energy gets distorted. And we lose the beauty and the power of the energy that we are, because we haven't dived into it. So that's what we always talk about. Sometimes we talk about, how to get out of it, what it's like to be how to get into the flow, and what it's like to be in the flow. And sometimes we talk about, what it's like to be stuck in this place where we're not in the flow. And I know that that's where most of us have lived, and most of us still are living, although maybe less and less and less. So welcome today to this second to last show called Evolutionary Women Radio. If you would like to connect with me today, I always so enjoy those of you who either chat in or call in or Skype in. And I would love to hear from you if this show resonates with you today, if you have a question, if you want to share something. So you can always go to the live chat room if you are online. It's awakenedradio.net/live chat room. And here you can just say hello and share yourself if you have a question, if anything fun you want to share, anything goes. It's just lovely to have you here. You can also call in. That number is 334-649-7204. And of course you can Skype in also. And that Skype name is Awakened Radio. And then we can connect, and it's always fun to connect with you, as you know. I love that. I love that. There's other ways to listen to the show that I don't want to go into right now. You can always go to awakenedradio.net, and you'll learn how many ways you can actually tune into this amazing radio show where so many wonderful people are sharing their wonderful messages. Let me just share a little bit about what's moving here in me so you can understand and maybe relate it to your own life. As we evolve, which we all do, there's no way we cannot evolve. It's impossible, because evolution happens every second. And we can either move along with it, or we can resist it. And if we resist it, we will still be dragged along. And I'm going to say we're going to be dragged along. It's like you cannot stop evolution. You can resist it inside, in your mind. And all you do when you do that, and trust me, we all do it to a certain extent, still, more or less, when you start resisting that natural flow of life, you block off that energy that will fill your life full, that will fulfill you, that will make you feel happy, complete, just on purpose. There's a rightness to this energy. It's open, it's expansive, it's love. And this is available to each and every one of us, every second and millisecond from now on till eternity. It's simply everywhere. It's what we are. But imagine you are a drop in this flow of life, this evolutionary flow, we can call it, down here on this planet Earth. And each drop is the flow, or this wave is made of many, many small drops, we can say, if we start separating them. But they're not separate. All together, it's this flow Now, if I'm one little drop and I'm resisting this big current or this big flow, I might just kind of fall out to the side and miss the energy and the beauty and the flow that just takes me into itself. It gives me the experience of itself as it moves. And it's good if you have experienced that flow of spirit, flow of God, call it whatever, you know that it is amazing. It's just pure and beautiful and loving and expansive and joyful and fulfilling in all areas, because in the energy itself is contained everything that we want and need and long for. Because we are that. We are made of that. So when we go out to the side of this wave and kind of want to get off, or want to go against it, or we want to try something else, we leave that fullness of life. And we miss out on the beauty and fullness of life that is simply there. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to make yourself worthy of it. And yet, that's what we all think we need to do. We think we need to work hard. We need to be worthy of receiving. All these things is something we have all been identified with. And that energy is beginning to go out of the flow that we have been living in, because it's simply moving into a new way of being. So yes, you can resist it, but it's going to be to your own detriment. It's going to be, all you'll experience is the suffering and the striving, because you are going against a natural expression of life into more beauty, more expansion, more love. When we don't know that, we don't really have much of a choice. But when you start seeing what your little drop is doing to avoid this wave, this flow, then you can start adjusting and go with it instead. And so that's what I have been sharing with you here for almost 2 years. That is what I do with myself. That's what I help my clients do. This is simply what I'm here for. This little drop in this flow is here to facilitate that. And I can't help it. I can go against it. I can resist it. And I did for a while, because I believed all these things. I'm not good enough, and who am I, and I have nothing to offer. All these things that we all go through. And once they were gone, then it's much easier to stay in the flow. Excuse me. So I just go along with it. And the way I know the flow is by going inside and listen. And then I sense something, and then I'm not sure what it is, and then I stay with that, and I ask it. I ask this flow. And if you pray to a God, or whatever God looks like to you, then you can ask God, Spirit, whatever it is that you pray to, whoever it is that you pray to, you can ask that to show you, because that is the flow. It's not something outside of the flow. It's the movement that you feel inside of you. And you want to go along with that. You want to flow with that. So that's why I've been flowing with that for a while. And last year, there was a time where the flow was just like not moving. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? There's no inspiration. So I took a break from the radio show, and then it came back, and then so I went with it again, and I don't always know why that happens. And I don't need to know why anymore for the most part. I just go, okay, all right, I get it, I feel it, okay. So this is what's been happening. It's been expanding, more inspiration coming through. And this whole way I started with Evolutionary Women Radio, it doesn't inspire me anymore. It doesn't have that amazing energy that it had when I started, where it was like, oh, wow, I'm going to go with this, right, because I can't really help it. So now it has changed, and it's moving much more internally. It wants to connect deeper and deeper and deeper into the truth that I am and share that. And continuously helping myself and others to get out of that contraction or separation, what I call the veil, and let go of that, leave that behind. And I have talked a lot about that over the last couple of years too, and I created something called the ALL formula, ALL, allow, listen, and love. That's kind of my tool to get out of the veil and into the flow. That I will still be talking about because I think it's a fantastic tool. It's not something I made up. It's something that also came from inside where I just learned my ways. It wasn't like one day the ALL formula was just like right there. No, it's something by following, this unfolded, and suddenly there's a clarity of like, oh, now I see how I got out of it and how I can get out of it. So I just apply whatever flows through me and resonates with the truth. And you will learn what that feels like if you don't already. You're always welcome to connect with me. You can go to my website, LilaRose.com. And, sign up for a 30-minute free discovery session so we can talk about this and we can find out if there's any kind of support you need to get out of the contraction and into your flow and learn about your flow. This is just so wonderful. So the way it's moving now it's been moving me to another playground. And I don't want to go into that too much here. I just want to invite you to go to my website and get on the email list so you can stay in touch with me because it keeps going. The energy is not stopping. It's just changing. And I just move along with it. It's so beautiful to be able to have something inside of me that I know lives my life for the good. It doesn't always look or feel so good. That's when I go through the bumps where I'm resisting it. And then I don't understand it. And then I finally get to, let go. And then moves further. And so that's what's happening. The energy keeps moving. It just wants another expression, let's say another color, another shape, form, name, time, whatever. So this is beautiful. And I so want to encourage all of you listeners to learn to listen to that flow. It's amazing. You don't always understand it. The people around you may not always understand it. It means that sometimes you will leave something behind. It could be a job. It could be a relationship. It could be a friendship. It can be anything. Simply because now you're moving into another movement. Greater heights, a bigger playground. Who knows? Don't worry about what it is. Just really learn to trust your movement. And what I'm going to talk more and more about, I've already talked about this for a while, is really on the veil and how to get unveiled. How do we get out of this structure that we have spun ourselves into as if we are this separate little water drop that is not part of the big flow of life, the flow that is fulfilled and fulfilling, that has everything we need. How do we get out of that structure that thinks, oh my God, I have to do it myself and there's no help out there and, I can't trust anybody. And these are all the qualities and the belief systems that I call the veil. That's why we want to become unveiled. So if you imagine yourself as a little drop of water that has a certain shape, that shape needs to melt into all the water so that the shape actually disappears, but the energy of it merges into something that is much greater than itself. And then it can flow with that amazing energy that's unfolding and enjoy the ride. Really enjoy what is unfolding and what is evolving. So we want to look a little bit about, I wanted to call the title today, what is your veil made of? And we can look at that from many different angles. And I just have to laugh because this morning when I posted on Facebook, I always post a little blurb about what the radio show is going to be about. And then I look for some pictures that kind of reflect that. So I had a great little picture of this something under a purple veil that's going to be unveiled, right? And then you're going to find out what's underneath it. And I got a Facebook chat back from a friend of mine in Denmark. And I don't know if you're here today, Lena. It would be fun if you are. But she says, yes, of course your veil would be purple because I have been a purple girl in the past. I used to wear a lot of purple, was totally into purple. And truthfully, I was identified with that for whatever reason. I really enjoyed the color purple. And at a certain point, I realized I was becoming identified with that, right? So in a way, you can say that my little water drop was having a purple shape around it. And I thought that was me. And that's how people recognized me. That's what my friend in Denmark says. Of course, yours has to be purple, right? Because that is how I identified myself, showed myself in the world, and that's how other people got to know me. And I don't do that anymore now, but I just really had to laugh when I got that little message because it really explains well that what it is that we do. You know, if somebody else could say like, yes, of course you have to be like this, you know, somebody maybe who's always giving and ignoring themselves, you know, it could be an identity that I can only be loved if I give and if I ignore my own needs. Very, very common one for especially women. I think as women, we can all relate to that. It is an identity that we have taken on. And not that there's anything wrong with giving. Trust me, I love to give, but I don't do it at the expense of my own truth or my own values. And that's what we often do. We tend to ignore our own truth. And in order to be loved or liked or seen or wanted or whatever, be successful. And we all do that. You know, that's part of how we grew up. That was the fabric of the veil that we were born into. So as soon as you were born, you came into this world, into a fabric you didn't even know was there. It became so second nature that most of us never even questioned it. And that's how it is for most people. They are completely identified with the veil that they were born into, and that will be different from culture to culture, from gender to gender, from country to country. It varies, and it is the same. So let's say it's the same fabric, but with different threads, with different colors, with different thicknesses. So we want to start really taking a good look at this veil, because it wasn't really available to be seen when we were born into it. We just accepted it as this is just how it is. But now, because this energy that I've been talking about is more and more available to us, if we listen to that, that energy itself helps thin the veil, and it helps expose what it is made of. And that's what is so, I find it so fascinating these days that for myself, I can just see the thing. I can see so many things without efforting, without doing anything. I just sense it. I see it. I pick it up. And it's like, wow, why didn't I see that a year ago? Or, when I was younger, so that I would have avoided all this suffering. But part of the veil is that we don't see it. Or I should say was that we didn't see it. because then we could totally identify with it, and we could play out the roles that we were identified with, and we would have this little drama that we kept living out here on Earth, right? And now things are changing, and somehow there's a lot more consciousness available to us so that we can choose differently now, and we can start seeing what the veil is made of. And if you know about character styles, some of you may be familiar with the Enneagram. Personally, I have been trained in the Hakomi method, which is a body-centered therapy that I work with and through and as. And there we learned different character styles. There were 8 of them. In the Enneagram, there are 9 of them. And I'm not going to, teach those today, but I think they are very important to start recognizing in ourselves, because that seems to be some of the deeper fabric that we are identified with without even knowing it. They are usually invisible to us. It's what we call our blind spots. And we have a few minutes before the break. I just want to read this one little paragraph from the book that I wrote some years ago called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself. I've read it before, but I think it kind of says everything in one way. It says, you will learn in this book that when you resist any part of your dream character, it only means that you believe you are him or her. And then it says, however, when you learn to just allow the experience of that character to be there, you can wake up from the dream and realize that you are not him or her. And transformation happens quite naturally by itself. So when we talk about the veil or characters or dream character, that is when we really focus on what does the veil, what is the fabric of your veil feel like, look like, then you are already halfway out of it, because now you can see it. Doesn't mean you're all the way out of it yet. Trust me, it takes some time to kind of get unstuck from it, because it's like a spider web. We're stuck in it. It's sticky, and we don't even know we are the spider but web, or that we're separate. We think we are it because we're so, it's like it's spun itself around us, and it takes some time to really get out of it. But the first thing is to realize, like, oh my, I am stuck in the spider web, and I think I'm a fly. I'm just going a little bit overboard here, but it's really seeing in the veil, like, oh my goodness, I am stuck in the veil as this thread that is, well, purple in my case, and this purple thread believes that so-and-so believes that I have to work hard to be loved. I have to do it all myself. This is a little self-disclosure, my friends, because I'm talking about me. This is how my thread in the veil expressed itself. And I've seen that for a while, deeper and deeper, and that's why it's been a letting go, and a letting go, and a letting go. And that's not necessarily why I'm not wearing only purple anymore. I have worn other colors for a long time. But the whole identity of I have to do it myself, that has been a very strong identity that for many years I didn't even question, because I didn't know it. And it looks like we're almost at the little break time here. So in just a moment, we're going to go on a little break. But I want to invite you to go and check out my website at LillaRose.com, LillaRose.com.
You are listening to the Awakened Radio Network. Please visit our website at awakenedradio.net. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by How to Stay Motivated for Success by Donna Devane. Steps for living the successful lifestyle. Donna Devane brings you coaching in print. Rather than just a book, this information guides you step by step through a gentle and fun process that, if applied, will take you gently through changing out old limiting beliefs. The process is so easy that the ego will not resist and will actually work with you to help transform your beliefs, thinking, and daily actions as you gather proof that the invisible is always working to bring you what you ask for. Discover the fun and easy way to make success a lifestyle. Available autographed in the Awakened store at awakenradio.net. Also available in print and Kindle at Amazon and other online retail outlets. Have you considered hosting your own show? Want to be part of an up and growing, ever-expanding, loving, supporting, caring network? Well, Awakened Radio just might be the place for you. Visit awakenradio.net today. Look at the top where it says Be a Host. Click on that and you can read all about what we offer here on the Awakened Radio Network platform. You can also add Awakened Radio to your Skype and send our station owner and director, Donna Devane, a typed message, and she will be sure to make a time available to have a conversation with you on how you can get your passion, your message out to our global audience. Remember, visit awakenedradio.net today.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Little Rose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello everyone and welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with your host Pernilla Little Rose. I'm always amazed how fast times goes when I really get into these things that come through. Like this morning, there was just this wave coming through, this energy of inspiration and knowing what I wanted to talk about. Last night, I didn't know. This morning, I knew. Same happened last week. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, to learn to trust. Like, oh, there's nothing here now. Okay, well, I'll just wait till something comes. If there's nothing, well, that means there's nothing. I cannot go to my mind and produce something anymore. It's kind of dead, it's dry. I want it fresh because that gives me a feeling of aliveness and inspiration. And I like that. Then when I'm inspired, inspired means in spirit, then I know it's spirit moving through me. It's obvious. And that's where I want to be. I want to live in and as that flow. And I want to encourage and invite you to do the same. But if you live in the veil, if you're stuck in the veil, it's not very inspiring. It's hard work. It's dry. It's limiting. It's like contracted, right? And we want to get out of that because that's outgrown. That may have been right for the last era we have lived in, because we all bought into that. But not anymore. More and more people are just wanting something different, right? We want the world to be sustainable and be loving, and we want to be caring world where there's enough for everyone. We didn't think like that even 20 years ago, maybe even 10 or 5 years ago. A lot of people did. Those are the pioneers. But most people didn't. They were just going along in the veil, following that little purple veil, a purple thread, trying to do it all on their own. That's all they know. That's all we know. That's all we know. We are so identified with that. And I'm here just to shine a little light on that veil and say, look at that veil that you're stuck in. It's like that spider web. Look what you're stuck in. It's not who you are, but you thought that's who you were, and now you have an opportunity to let it go. And I want to just say share with you a few veil characteristics so you can start recognizing your own. Because until you know what they are, you cannot get out of it because you don't even consider it. You just think that this is how it is. This is part of the veil. And this is how everybody does it, right? If I go here, then they go there. If this happens and that happens, you know the veil. And the things that happen in the veil are usually limited and struggling, and there's a lot of suffering in the veil. Have you noticed? Look around the world how much suffering there is. It's all part of the veil. It is not who and what you are, who and what any one of us are. So a few characteristics, I'll just name them and you can see if you actually believe in that, if that relates to you. I have to do it all alone. And what we do then, in order to either resist the pain of that belief, we work very hard to make something happen. And we keep struggling and we don't know when to stop because I have to do it all alone. So I need to keep going and moving. And it's so hard. You see, can you sense some of that characteristic? That is a thread in the veil. That is not who you are. Here's another one. I cannot do it. This belief that I can't do it. I just can't do it. And what we do then, we either collapse and give up, right? Because I can't do it. So I believe that thread in the veil that says, I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. So you give up. And then you turn into somebody who can't find a job or a home, happy relationships, friends, healthy food. You know, it's like you give up. You live as a thread in the veil that really believes that you cannot do it. And everything you do then comes from that belief. That's why they say, this is something I heard first time when I took the Hakomi training. They said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Just think about that. That's how the veil works. I mean, everything really. But if you look in the veil, like I cannot do it, then everything you are involved in is colored by the thread of that belief in the veil. Here's another one. Nobody loves me. If that is the thread in the veil that you have identified with, then you will probably leave yourself and your values behind in order to have somebody love you anyway. You will pretend you're different than you are because the color of the thread in the veil that you believe in is so colored by nobody loves me that you will do anything to resist that belief, that feeling, and try and make the opposite happen and make you turn yourself into somebody different so that you will be loved. And then there's another one. There's never enough. There's never enough. I always have to keep going. And what we do then, we live in a constant state of stress and we try to acquire things. We try to acquire enough. And sometimes we work way too hard, or we even steal or lie in order to resist that thread in the veil that says there is never enough. So when I said earlier, that about when we believe that we are the dream character or that strand in the fabric, that thread in the fabric, if we really believe we are that, we resist it because it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to believe that nobody loves me or that there is never enough. Or here's another one, I'm not good enough. These are horrible feelings. If we really have identified with that thread in the veil, you're going to feel miserable because it doesn't feel good. So you're going to do everything you can to resist that belief and try and become different. So here you are maybe identified with a green, purple, yellow thread in the veil, and you certainly don't like it because it makes you suffer. So now you're going to try and become a orange, red, brown thread, because if you are like that, if you are a different thread in the veil, then maybe you will be loved. And then maybe things will get better, right? But you see, you are still creating another thread in the veil. The whole veil is made up of something you are not. There are beliefs, there are limiting beliefs, and they will never, ever be fulfilling. They may feel a little better than the beliefs that you're trying to change, but they cannot fulfill because they are contracted and separated from the flow. Remember, it's like a little drop in this big wave of fulfillment that you have gotten off the wave on the side, believing you are this whatever colored drop or this colored strand in the veil, and you're going to try to make this little separate thread or drop, whatever you want to call it here, different, right? So that you will have all the qualities that this wave of fulfillment is offering, but you don't know that. You believe you are a thread in the veil, so you need to do anything you can to resist that and become better than that. Now, but it's not going to work. It is simply not going to work. You, as long as you keep trying to change yourself and manage yourself and resist what you don't like, it's all happening in and as the veil. It's not going to fulfill you. It cannot. It may give you a temporary sense of relief, of joy, of happiness, of fulfillment. Yes, that happens in the veil. It happens a lot, right? Especially when we fall in love. Then we think, oh no, now everything's going to change. But remember, it's all happening in the veil. And there is no fulfillment in the veil. The veil is not made of fulfillment. The veil is made of limitation and lack, separation, comparing, competing, needing to be better than in order to survive, etc., etc. That is the material of the veil. So what we need to do here is first recognize what the thread that you have identified with looks like. Once you see that, then you first need to stop resisting that. The resistance is built into the veil, into the thread. So you need to first see it. You might right away see how you are resisting it by creating strategies to avoid it, to not look at it. But I'm going to ask you to get out your magnifying glass and really look at your life. Look at your thread. What does it feel like? What are the beliefs that are running your life? And if this is the first time you are taking a real good look at that part of yourself, it may be hard to recognize it. Most of these threads are invisible to us. Like I said, they're our blind spots. The funny thing is, though, that they are not blind to your friends or your family. Have you noticed that? Most people around us, they know exactly what color our thread is. And some of them are very happy to let us know about it in a very unkind way. And what we do then is like we contract even more, or we try to change the color even more. But remember, my friends, it's still all happening in the veil, and it is not going to make you free. It's kind of twining. It's pulling you in even more. It's like the spider web is spinning another round around you now with a different color, but it's still all happening in the veil. And we want to get out of the veil. We don't want to be stuck in the veil anymore because it's not who we are. Now we can see many things about ourselves. There is more awareness in a lot of people. I live in Santa Cruz where we are very, very conscious about many, many things. It's quite beautiful that we can have open conversations with many, many people, and just where we share, our blind spots freely and generously. It's like, I have this thing, I'm really ready to let it go. It's like, it's just in the open. It's not hidden much anymore, at least in my surroundings. And it's wonderful. But then there's a lot of people who don't have that kind of support. And so it's harder to get out of it. I mean, how can you see something when you're blind to it? It's very, very difficult. And many times you need somebody to help you that can help take off your glasses or put on some new glasses or something so that you can see what others are seeing about you. Now, I feel very, very blessed because I took this training many, many years ago called the Hakomi method. And that is very much about seeing what we call the core beliefs and the character styles. And what I do is I help my clients see them without judgment or blame or shame, but really in a loving, safe, non-violent way. Help my clients see what I see right away. I pick it up. It's like my radar is so tuned in to these things because that's the work I've been doing for many years. So I can help them see it, and I don't have a judgment around it or an opinion about it. It's just an observation. So I can bring it to their awareness. Now, there might be resistance in the beginning, but I can bring awareness to the resistance, right? And eventually, we all start getting it, that it's not who we are. So we don't need to resist it or defend ourselves or try and fix it or pretend it's not who we are. At a certain point, we can just own it, because when you are around with somebody who's not judging you for it, then you get a new experience that you can actually be with it yourself without judging yourself for it. And that's why the book that I wrote, Imagine Being Kind to Yourself, is to me very, very important. Not necessarily the book, but the concept of kindness and love to oneself. It's very, very important, because the grip that keeps us in the veil is often our harshness towards ourselves and our beating ourselves up and blaming ourselves. And it's again, that is veil material. It's veil fabric. And you need to see that. If you're somebody who's beating yourself up a lot, you're simply not seeing the color of the thread in the veil that you are identifying with. So when I work with my clients, if I can help them see what they're doing without any kind of judgments. Sometimes we laugh a lot when it's seen, it's like, oh my God, I didn't see that, I did it. And then we can just laugh around it. And that in itself softens a lot of the veil qualities. And then when you see it, then we can go into what I always talk about is the ALL formula. ALL, allow, listen, and love. And first, when you start allowing what you're seeing instead of resisting it, instead of judging yourself for it, instead of beating yourself up for it, you learn to go to a place where you just allow it and you just observe it. You start becoming the observer of it instead of the identifier of it. And then when you start observing it, because now you allow it, right? Create a space, then you can listen to this character. Because we cannot always leave these threads behind without, quote unquote, healing them or integrating them. That is what's called a spiritual bypass, where you just go, oh, turn away, I'm not going to deal with that. Now, we can do that, and we need to do that at a certain point with certain things, but you need to know when. And I cannot tell you that It's a feeling that you'll get inside where you know that it's complete. For instance, if you are in a situation, in a relationship where you are not happy, and this thread is trying to fit in order to be loved, first you need to see that. And then, but you can't just leave it behind then. You need to listen to this part of yourself that knows that this relationship is not right for you anymore. So you start listening, and then you may have to change certain things in your life in order to come in alignment with the flow that is moving through you when you start listening, right? So instead of being a little water drop at the edge outside of the flow of fulfillment, where you're trying to fit in order to be loved and this and that, but you ended up in a wrong relationship with another water drop that had its own identities, and you're right there out on the side of the big wave of fulfillment trying to be fulfilled. Trust me, it's not going to happen. So when you see that part, you may have a conversation with that other water drop and simply really see that this is not good for you, for the other water drop, and that you're going to leave it behind, and then you go back into the flow naturally. But if you're trying to get back into the flow when you are in a relationship with a water drop that is also identified with the veil and limitation and trying to fit in, you cannot go with the fullness of the flow. It's impossible. So we need to untangle ourselves. And, I talk about water drops and the veil today. I hope you can follow me. I don't know why I suddenly have two metaphors, but that's how it happened today. But so let's go into the fabric of the water drop. Maybe we can do it that way. And you need to start untangling your little threads from this relationship that is dysfunctional, that is codependent, that where you're dragging each other down, where you're not allowing the fullness to express itself, where you're not supporting each other in bringing out the best in each other. You may need to untangle there and either untangle together so you can come to a higher level of being, or untangle and then leave. So that's the part where you listen to really find out, what do you need in order to get out of the veil? Then you can start unhooking from the veil. It's like it takes that hold out of it. And then so when you listen and then you honor that about yourself, then you will actually quite naturally start moving back into the flow and fulfillment of life. It will just happen because you have let go of the grip of separation. So just if there's anything in your life that you can relate to, just follow me here in your own experience, and do go and check out my website. And if you want to sign up for a 30-minute free discovery session with me where we can explore that and see if I would be a good coach for you, a good help support for you, then check that out. And if you have somebody else, but do go and get the support. It's not necessary that we do it on our own until we don't need support anymore. It's a phase we go through to get out of the veil. It's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing wrong with needing help to really go into the veil to get unhooked. And going into the veil with a loving, supportive friend or teacher or coach or therapist, it's wonderful. My God, I went in there with some wonderful help, and it simply helped me unhook from the veil because I couldn't do it on my own. And part of my thing was that I thought I had to do everything on my own. And I have to keep admitting that I can't do that. I cannot do it on my own. And I don't need to. And you don't need to. At a certain point, you probably can because you have enough connection with the flow of fulfillment. You feel more at one with that. And then you will need less and less outside help. But as long as we need it, isn't it wonderful that it's available? If you have a good God connection inside, and you really trust that, and you can surrender to that, then you are actually surrendering to the flow. So if you have that, you may not need anybody outside. But for those of us who didn't get that from we were, young, who didn't feel that connection, I just find it so loving that this flow of water sends out pure drops outside to help us disconnect from the veil and let ourselves be filled full with this beautiful flow that is available to all of us, everywhere, at all times. But we just need to connect with that. And we can use each other to connect. I hope that this radio show today will help you or inspire you to maybe get some help somewhere if you feel stuck. Or maybe help you see your veil that you couldn't see before. You see, that's like, what is the color, or what is the fabric of your veil made of? What belief is it? Is it that you're not good enough, that you have to do it on your own? Whatever it is, can you unhook from that yourself? This is deep fabric, guys. This is as if this is what we are made of. So we have not even questioned it for most of our lives. So that's why I hope that I can be out here as a clearer water drop, showing you what the color is of your veil so you can see it. And then when you can see it, guess what? Then you can stop resisting it, because you start seeing that this is not who you are. And when you know that you are not these beliefs, when you know that, when you start feeling that, why would you resist it then? Right? Then there's no reason. It's like, well, this is not who I am. Why would I resist it? And then at some point you can just turn away from it. And there's a big difference between resisting and saying no to something and turning away from it. And I have talked about that a few months ago. You can go back to some of the replays. You can find those on my website also. I think it's called Saying No and Mean It. Very, very powerful distinction between resisting and saying no. Because when you're clear, you can say no and you just cut and you go back into the flow. And there's nothing left behind. It's done. It's clean. So there is a difference between resisting and saying no and leaving it behind. And I wish we'd had more time, because I really wanted to talk more about that. So hopefully next week, our last show here on of Evolutionary Women Radio here on awarenessradio.net, I can talk some more about that. There is a new wave of inspiration that takes me over before that. But my friends, please take a good look at this and email me or Facebook me. Let me know how this lands for you and what you find. Let's stay in connection, and I would love to hear what you see here and how you meet that in yourself. So my website again is lillarose.com, LILLAROSE. And we can continue this conversation next week. If you go to my website, you can find more about some writings about it. And it looks like we are right at the top of the hour again, and it goes so fast. I was thinking, do I have enough to talk about today? And I didn't even get halfway through that wave of inspiration that came through this morning. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope this will help you find the color and the shape and the thread of the veil that you're identified with, so you can start unhooking from it. My friends, it's been a pleasure. Look forward to being with you next week again, and I wish you a beautiful day and a beautiful week.